My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Please go ahead and share my latest article in the Daily Caller, Free Julian Assange. And please continue sharing a really, really wonderful time at the range when I was enjoying abiding by state and federal and YouTube policies. I was enjoying a very beautiful firearm, a 500 Smith & Wesson revolver, 10.5-inch barrel, and it takes 50 caliber Smith & Wesson ammunition for that revolver, and it was just wonderful. Not the ammunition wasn't made from Smith & Wesson. I'm just saying it's a 50 caliber bullet made for that handgun, and it was just absolutely a blast, literally and figuratively. It was fantastic. Check out the segment. It is below in the pinned comment. And I do okay for somebody who's just getting back into appreciating the Second Amendment. And you can look by the groupings on the target that it was pretty good. Pretty good for somebody, like I said, who's just getting into enjoying the Second Amendment. Again, I'm a big proponent and a big advocate of the Second Amendment, and I'm going to prove that with my actions. The Bill of Rights is something all Americans should enjoy. Mueller hopes to wrap up obstruction inquiry into Trump by September 1st. Obstruction? What did he obstruct? It's bizarre. It's bizarre. What did Mueller obstruct? Or what did Trump obstruct? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is this? So, you have an issue here. Well, I'll just read you the article. Mueller hopes to wrap up obstruction inquiry into Trump by September 1st. He has every right, according to Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, and also Professor Jonathan Turley. Where is it really quickly? Just want to do this man justice because he's also very brilliant. Professor Jonathan Turley, George Washington University Law School, and other legal scholars. Trump has every right to fire an FBI director. Any president can fire an FBI director, especially if they presided over a cover-up. It was an obvious cover-up. So it's just obvious. Mueller hopes to wrap up obstruction inquiry into Trump by... So they added this ridiculous... They contrived not only the PP dossier, which is commonly known as the Steele dossier. So they didn't only fabricate that. They then went ahead and said, "Oh my God, you fired Comey just as he was about to find out all this information on you." And now we have Trump, of course. DOJ confirms Inspector General will probe impropriety, political motivation of Obama FBI spying on Trump. So Trump has ordered and demanded the DOJ, which is his right to do, find out if there was any spying or infiltration of his campaign, which there was. This is very simple for Democrats and very simple. You do not investigate based on suspicion. You need evidence of a crime, perhaps also a motive, and you need to actually accuse somebody of a crime. I can't believe the lack of logic from people, especially on Twitter. They're like, well, it hasn't been disproven, the Steele dossier. Okay, if you are accused of a heinous crime, if you're accused of cheating on your wife or your husband, if you're accused of stealing $1 million, is the burden of proof on you to disprove that, or on the person who makes the claim? Now think really hard, Democrats. Democrats have stated that, well, the Steele dossier hasn't been disproven, or people, but you can't disprove a negative. You can't say, well, you don't know there aren't leprechauns, breakdancing on Jupiter. It could happen. You haven't disproven anything. Leprechauns are breakdancing, and they're doing the centipede, and they're on Jupiter right now, and it's this amazing nightclub. And okay, you're crazy. There's no when you make a claim in life, the Democrats are so like disgruntled and butthurt and angry and sad and frustrated. They don't know what to do. They've convinced themselves that Trump is this really, really corrupt person because Stormy Daniels took money after she had sex with him. Oh my God. Meanwhile, they're like, it's okay that that Clinton had oral sex. Not a big deal. He's the president. It's no problem. Why are you focusing on that? This is Trump before he was president. They're like, well, campaign finance violation. Nah, not really. You haven't proven that. And furthermore, money flowing into being laundered through a law firm. There's a reason that the DNC didn't just say, oh yeah, we're purchasing the Steele dossier. They funneled the money through Perkins Coie. So did Hillary Clinton. That's a millions and millions of dollars of campaign finance violation. The FEC didn't know that they were purchasing the Steele dossier with money from Bernie Sanders voters. But also, $80 million was funneled through the DNC into Clinton's campaign. They're being sued. The FEC is being sued right now. Or no, there's a lawsuit regarding that $80 million. And if you want to talk about egregious activity, anything they're accusing Trump of doing, just look at the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton. And it's actually worse, and they actually did commit the crimes. Russia collusion, yes, the Steele dossier was compiled with Russian sources. She paid for it. Trump didn't pay for any help from. Now they're making it so ambiguous now. Like people from Gulf nations offered help. They offered help? This is a profanity alert. Do not listen if you don't want to hear profanity. You mean other countries offered help? Who the fuck cares? They offered? Really? What does that even mean? Who cares? They offered help? Did Trump take the help and then utilize that money or assistance or those connections to defeat Hillary? Because that's the issue. So now we get to, and he didn't. When Trump Jr. met with Natalia Veselnitskaya, she also met with Fusion GPS's Glenn Simpson before and after the meeting. She was allowed into the country by Loretta Lynch, Obama's DOJ Attorney General. Why did they allow this Kremlin operative into the country? These are all backed up by The Hill and the New York Times and other sources, Washington Post. We all know this. The public record alone is enough to destroy the propaganda regarding Trump-Russia collusion. There's enough public record information. Now we need to know if there was infiltration. If there was actually, well, we do know already. The Inspector General doesn't really have to work. When Rosenstein and Sessions basically said, yeah, you know what, we're going to go ahead and allow the Inspector General to look into whether or not there was there were improprieties regarding Obama and Stephen Halper and the FBI mole, who they said, oh my God, national security. Stephen Halper, what's the big deal? The Mother Jones is amazing. They're like, they're instantaneous, just turning on a dime in terms of propaganda. At first, everyone was saying, oh my God, Trump wants to release the identity of a top secret source. Then Mother Jones is like, wah, wah, wah. What a letdown. It was just Stephen Halper, an academic. Well, which one is it? It's just like, the FISA memo. They're like, no, the FISA memo, there's secrets, there's methods, sources and methods. This is really, really like important tradecraft stuff. You wouldn't understand American people. You're just lowly and stupid. Oh, Devin Nunes said the Steele dossier. No, it was also the drunken conversation from Papadopoulos. So stupid. It's really nothing. It just helps us. And then the Washington Post, they don't realize that this is all really bad for them. They're going to lose any chance at the House because eventually it filters down. Even for people who hate Trump, this is not motivating them. Hatred for a person is not a motivating factor generally for a lot of people to go vote. People need ideals. They need either somebody they can look at and say, well, I don't like the guy, but he fights. I don't like the guy, but he's brash and there's something amusing about him. I don't like, or I like him. I like the fact that there's peace between North and South Korea, hopefully. I like all of these things. Independents still lean towards Trump. There's a reason for that. Because if you're independent, you're not going to think that Russian Facebook trolls are going to descend like Red Dawn from paratroopers. Russian troll Facebook paratroopers are going to descend into the country. Nobody fears Russia. There's not one person in this country, even the hardcore Democrats, who fears Russia, and who thinks that hardcore Democrats are like, well, they influence the election. But then when you ask them how, they have nothing, there's no answer. Well, through Facebook. Okay, how many votes were cast? Well, I don't know, but there was a lot of votes. It's all vague and ambiguous. Then you get the lie, all the intelligence community, it's three departments, and they're highly to moderately confident, and they have warranty disclaimers. And no evidence has been given. Not a check, not a pee-soaked check by Trump as he was getting peed on by Russian prostitutes. Nothing. No money trail. Clinton Foundation, big money trail. You pick a scandal, Boeing, UBS, weapons deals, Chicago commodities trader, Haiti. Pick a scandal, any scandal. Pick a crime, any crime. She'll eventually get indicted. I don't know now what the crime would be. Could be a future crime. Could be a past crime. They are investigating. When people say they're not investigating, Giuliani said that, she needs to be under investigation. She is under investigation right now. It's just not a formal probe. She is under investigation. There's a DOJ email probe and there's an FBI Clinton Foundation probe that we have already, U.S. prosecutors are already interviewing people in Arkansas. So, and Dick Morris was talking about a potential grand jury regarding that. Then there's an IRS probe. Then there's, she's still raising money. She's not going away at all, ever. Why would she? The DNC is Clinton. People are so naive. They're like, well, why are you focusing on her? Because even today she's like, I'll be with you every step of the way. Good. That should frighten, petrify Democrats. They're too stupid to realize what's good for them. So they think there are Democrats who think Hillary's great, and then there are Democrats who are like, please, no, okay, fine. Nobody's putting their foot down, which is fine. Let that party, the political party, be dismantled peacefully and politically. The only way to do so is Trump. So in addition to the fact that he's less hawkish and militant than any Democrat, which is true, any Democrat they pick is going to be advised by neoconservatives. Neoconservatives are into regime change. That's their main focus. For people who hate Israel, they add that component. Neocons also love Israel. Yeah, well, that's the biggest issue regarding neoconservative foreign policy is that the map of the world, the global map, is like a Stratego board game or Dungeons and Dragons. You can just go ahead and a chessboard, you can defeat this imaginary castle and then take it over, and then oh my God, look, you have more little figurines. That's what they tried to do with Iraq and Afghanistan. It did not work. The blowback it created was catastrophic. It was just a tragedy of epic proportions. And then President Obama said, ISIS is the JV. He destroyed Libya. We can go on forever. But the neoconservatives like Robert Kagan and Bill Kristol, Bill Kristol is like a darling of the left. He's a hardcore neoconservative. George W. Bush has a favorable... Democrats have a favorable view of George W. Bush. That's insane. How many times have you heard, I just, Trump, we need somebody normal like Bush. What? I condemned, I was not happy with, at all with Trump going ahead and launching missiles in Syria, but Hillary would have done infinitely worse. Now there's an obstruction. Okay, let's get to finally. The obstruction, what a bunch of baloney. Washington. The special counsel hopes to finish by September 1st the investigation into whether President Trump obstructed the Russia inquiry. According to obstructed the Russia inquiry, it's still ongoing. How could he obstruct? How could he have obstructed it? What? So the guy who lied under oath, James Comey, the guy who is now known as a perpetual liar, he fired this liar, and it's Trump's fault? Comey is known as a slimeball. Democrats are okay with it, though, because they're cool with John Brennan. They're cool with James Clapper. They're fine. The special counsel hopes to finish by September 1st the investigation into whether President Trump obstructed the Russia inquiry, according to the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who said on Sunday that waiting any longer would risk improperly influencing voters in November's midterm elections. Well, that's true. So they're gonna. It's a matter of Mueller is either going to get fired in the most embarrassing manner because of the conflicts of interest. Just today, Trump brought up the fact that there's like 13 Democrats out of 17, and many of whom gave lots of money to the Democratic Party, or money to the Democratic Party. Mr. Giuliani said the office of the special counsel Robert S. Mueller shared its timeline about 2 weeks ago amid negotiations over whether Mr. Trump will be questioned by investigators, adding that Mr. Mueller's office said that the date was contingent on Mr. Trump sitting for an interview. What? If I'm Giuliani, I'd tell him to you-know-what. Mr. Giuliani said the office of the special counsel Robert S. Mueller shared its timeline about 2 weeks ago amid negotiations over whether Mr. Trump will be questioned by investigators, adding that Mr. Mueller's office said that the date was contingent upon Mr. Trump sitting for an interview. I would have fired Mueller right then and there. I would have fired Mueller right then and there. Oh, it's contingent upon an interview? You mean the same interview that Peter Strzok gave to Hillary Clinton? You mean all the immunity deals that they gave to, Cheryl Mills, Brian Pagliano? 4 years of his emails were missing. He was subpoenaed by Congress. He didn't show up to testify. His lawyer said, he's just going to plead the fifth. Are you kidding me? Hillary Clinton committed crimes. Just because nobody wants to talk about the email, all the crimes, the top secret and special access program intelligence she had on her servers, in her basement of her home. Are you kidding me? The whole planet hacked into it. It was unencrypted for close to 6 months. If you're Russia, and she traveled around the world using her BlackBerry, easily hacked BlackBerry phone. You're talking like 2009 and 2010. It's not like, even now it's easy to hack phones. But you're talking technology back then. And a BlackBerry, the NSA said she could not use. Are you kidding me? And they're worried about Trump and the election. They're still talking about the election, which is why they're going to lose miserably. They're not even going to win the House. They're not going to win the House because Democrats really don't stand for anything. What are they going to tell their voters? Trump is a madman? In June, he's going to have a meeting with Kim Jong-un. It's going to be talked about throughout the planet, throughout the world. Why should Mueller... First of all, it's not obstruction. This is the stupidest thing in the world. It's not obstruction to have fired Comey. He was not going to find anything. We know the Steele dossier. BuzzFeed is suing the DNC. Christopher Steele is getting sued. Fusion GPS is getting sued. They're not going to win their lawsuits because that's what they engaged in is the definition of libel. You go ahead and you just accuse people of doing crazy things, being part of this big conspiracy that of course will hurt them economically in the future. And it's one guy lost millions and millions, they say, or he says in court. And it's the definition of libel. If someone writes something about you, and in the UK, I believe you have to prove that it's libel or libelous. But if somebody, and it's easy to do because, these people, it was easy. Michael Cohen never went to the Czech Republic, but he now has to contend with Mueller. But if somebody says something about you that's just a blatant lie, pretty easy to prove that's just a blatant lie. Especially in the Steele dossier, it's like, oh, well, it's elaborate, big, narrative. And now the BuzzFeed tried to reach out to the intelligence community. The intelligence community said, "Go F off. We wrote warranty disclaimers. Are you kidding me? Read the warranty disclaimers of the ODNI and DHS reports. They're hilarious. They go from somewhat confident or not really confident to really high confidence. But then the warranty is, well, even with high confidence, we could be wrong. Have a nice day." It's like in Spaceballs when the spaceship blows up. "This spaceship will self-destruct in 10 seconds. Have a nice day." The intel community, all three agencies, $35 billion worth, were like, "We're moderately to highly confident, but we don't have any evidence. We're going to plunge the country into a second Cold War. Have a nice day." What could go wrong in Syria? So wrapping up the obstruction case would not signal the end of Mueller's work. Oh, the work he's doing, so important. Oh, that work is so important. That is one piece of his broader inquiry, a counterintelligence investigation into Russia's campaign to interfere in the 2016 election and whether Trump associates coordinated with it. Counterintelligence investigations are used to gather information quietly about the activities of foreign powers and their agents, sometimes for years. Sometimes for years. No, it's not. No offense to the author or the writer, the journalist, whatever. No, it's not true at all. It's not true at all. Counterintelligence operations are meant to protect this country from foreign intelligence agencies. They have yet to even link foreign intelligence agencies of Russia or any other country to the 2016 election. Mueller is not talking about Russian intelligence. He's not accusing the FSB or other military GRU. He's not accusing these Russian intelligence agencies of anything. It's the Internet Research Group, Russian, and they're fighting back, by the way. They're like, yeah, show us the evidence. It's ridiculous. Peter Strzok wrote in a text message, oh yeah, well, let's go ahead. We have to engage in an insurance policy called Trump Russia. Are you kidding me? He wrote the number 2 in the counterintelligence. So this article is like, oh, counterintelligence, The number 2 in the counterintelligence of the FBI, Peter Strzok, has endless text messages showing not just bias, that it was a complete fabricated hoax, and that he covered up the Clinton email investigation. It wasn't just critiquing. Well, he critiqued Clinton. Nobody likes Clinton. Even people working to help her get elected. They all hate her. She's universally disliked by everybody, even people who were sold their soul to the devil to help her. That's different from saying, oh yeah, let's engage in the insurance policy called Trump Russia, which is what Peter Strzok wrote in his text message. Oh yeah, we spoke about this in Andrew McCabe's office. And McCabe lied under oath. Comey lied under oath. Brennan lied under oath. Clapper lied under oath. They're all liars. Mr. Giuliani sought to frame the outcome of the obstruction investigation as pitting the credibility of one man against another. Mr. Trump versus James B. Comey, the former FBI director, whom the president asked to end the investigation, and his first national security advisor, Michael T. Flynn. Yeah, they should. Flynn was set up. And furthermore, who cares if he asked to end the investigation of Flynn? He didn't do anything wrong. No, Democrats, and this is the most important part of this segment, what the Democratic Party did, especially under Obama, is they hid behind bureaucracy and protocol while they were utilizing bureaucracy and destroying protocol and rewriting guidelines. So Clinton, Obama, all of them completely broke guidelines and completely broke political norms. And to justify their criminal or unethical behavior, they then hid behind bureaucracy. Well, the FISA judge gave the warrant. That doesn't mean anything. They hand out warrants like candy. And to highlight that, BuzzFeed is suing the DNC because they have no evidence. Why is BuzzFeed suing the DNC? That's insane. That would be like BuzzFeed suing the DNC, which is insane. It's crazy. BuzzFeed published this dossier that not only has yet to be corroborated, which is the definition of a lie. If you say something for 1 year and nobody can prove that it's factual or correct, you're lying. At what point, this is like a poker game that Democrats are like, we're going to hold our hand. No, at a certain point, you got to fold or show your hand. You can't go on forever. They're like, no, we're just going to go on for years and years and years. We're going to hold you. You don't know what we have. We know what you have. They're all liars. They have nothing. They have nothing. They're like, well, it's counterintelligence. He had every right to fire Comey. So the notion that Comey knew this information that was just about to... Why didn't Mueller find anything? You have a special counsel that is actually probably a lot more vindictive and aggressive than Comey would have ever been. Why haven't they found anything? You can't have obstruction if you don't miss a beat, and actually if you ratchet the investigation up. So just by virtue of having a Mueller probe, there's no obstruction. It's not like Comey presided over a very corrupt FBI. You have Peter Strzok and Lisa Page's text messages, which are incriminating. If the tables were turned, you would never hear the end of it. She has blamed everybody, Clinton. Could you imagine if Peter Strzok and Lisa Page wrote that they had an insurance policy that she was a menace, that it's an insurance policy in the event that they can't take the risk of the first female president called Clinton? Could you imagine that? They use the word risk with Trump. We can't take the risk he wins. So this is the wonderful counterintelligence. And by the way, you talk about counterintelligence and all this I Spy stuff. She used an unencrypted server with top secret intelligence on the servers in her basement. They shipped a laptop in the mail. They just... 4 years of Brian Pagliano's emails were missing. Brian Pagliano and Justin Cooper are the people who transferred top secret intelligence onto her basement servers. Then she had her emails, before they were retroactively classified, stored on Dado and Platte River servers. These are two companies, cloud companies. So don't go ahead and talk about counterintelligence. The whole planet has information from the U.S. government because of Clinton. Even the Trump Jr. narrative is he was trying to get emails. And how do you think the Russians acquired those emails, if in fact the ridiculous nonsense is true? They acquired the emails because Hillary Clinton used, a server in her basement outside the U.S. government that Obama didn't know of, even though he was emailing her under a pseudonym. He didn't look up and say, it's Clinton emails. Even if it's another person, like he doesn't type the emails, fine. The other person didn't look up and said Clinton email. Everybody that they speak to within the U.S. government is .gov, and she's clintonemail.com. They're okay with it. And by the way, she used an AT&T account. So let's talk about this wonderful counterintelligence department. This is Politico. It's in the description section of every... On March 18, 2009, Hillary Clinton stopped using her long-standing email, HR15 at AT&TBlackberry.net. AT&T, what? Late January, she was sworn in. So from late January to March 18th, she used an AT&T BlackBerry. And oh, by the way, she traveled and spoke to Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, and Chinese officials. You don't think China and Russia realized that she was on an AT&T BlackBerry phone? You don't think they hacked into her server? Oh, great. Peter Strzok and counterintelligence of the FBI. And then, to top things off, she probably used a less secure. Most likely, AT&T was a lot more secure than her HROD17 at clintonemail.com, which, according to Vanafi, a Utah-based firm, she didn't have encryption for 3 months. So just tack on 3 months to March, April, May, June. So from late January to June, it was unencrypted. And we're supposed to worry about Trump colluding with Russia to do what? He didn't have to collude with Russia. How on earth... The DNC was never hacked, but even if you think that it was, there's no link between Trump and WikiLeaks, and there's no link between WikiLeaks and Russia. They've yet to. The only thing they say is, well, they published emails that help Russia. How does it help Russia? Oh, well, it hurts Clinton. But Clinton took money from the Russians. The Uranium One deal was all about money from Russian lobbyists. And Rosatom, a Russian firm, cash flowed to the Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. That's the almost verbatim article in the New York Times. Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin in 2010. So where is the fear that the Russians should have about the Clintons? Why, they fear the Clintons? No. Putin and Bill Clinton are friends. They go back to, from in the 90s. You think Putin fears Bill Clinton, of all people? Bill Clinton is the one that could be compromised through prostitutes, very likely. They don't call him Bimbo Dickens for nothing. Trump is not seen as this sympathetic figure because he's brash and he's viewed as a bully and he's loud. But he is, if you're knowledgeable and you're kind of independent, or at least you're objective and you don't just hate Trump, because there are people who are like anything to get him, which actually insulates Trump, like it insulated Clinton. A lot of times, certain things she didn't have anything to do with, which actually insulated her from the crimes she did commit. With Trump, he didn't commit any crimes, but what they're doing is they're like, oh, just, it doesn't matter if it hurts him. And all of this actually undermines the Democratic Party and undermines people like James Comey, because he actually didn't commit any crimes. There's no evidence. They don't know how WikiLeaks obtained the emails. And furthermore, the emails were not classified, whereas Hillary Clinton had classified intelligence on her servers. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Trump has ordered the DOJ and the FBI to look into all of this nonsense and insanity. And I think that it's very, very, very important that people realize President Obama presided over a tradition that was broken under his watch. We've never had this before as a nation, where an incoming president is framed and spied on without any evidence. And now, since they don't have any evidence, they're saying, well, it takes a long time. It doesn't take a long time when you have, in this case, there's no crime that Trump is said to have committed. So it could theoretically take forever, because there's no actual event that took place. Watergate break-in, Bill Clinton, oral sex. We can go on. There's an event and then investigation or special counsel. Here, there's no event, so you can't say that he obstructed anything. Give me your thoughts below. Share my segment on H.A. Goodman's Second Amendment, shooting a .500 Smith & Wesson revolver, 50 caliber revolver, one of the most powerful, perhaps the most powerful handgun on the planet. And I do so safely and responsibly. That is in the pinned comment. The next upload will be of me with a .357 Smith & Wesson. And that'll be a whole bunch more in terms of the rounds. Many more rounds will be shown, or I will have shot many more rounds in the next segment, because the ammo is a lot cheaper. So you'll enjoy that one. That's after the .500 Smith & Wesson. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Also, in the pinned comment, continue to share and enjoy my visit to the range with the .500 Smith & Wesson. Thank you so much.